Ancient builders achieved engineering feats we can barely explain today. This video reveals 25 ancient ruins possessing technology millennia ahead of their time. By the end, you will see human history in a completely new light. We will explore how civilizations moved stones heavier than modern cranes can lift and encoded advanced mathematics into stone. You will discover the true capabilities of our ancestors. What single mystery from the ancient world has always captured your imagination? Standing on the Giza Plateau, the Great Pyramid is a monument to precision that defies easy explanation. For over 4,500 years, its form has dominated the skyline, but its true mystery lies in the details invisible to the naked eye. The pyramid's base is a near-perfect square, leveled to within less than an inch across its entire 13-acre foundation. Even more astonishing, its four sides are aligned to the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west, with an error margin of just a fraction of a single degree. This is an accuracy that would challenge modern engineers with their laser levels and GPS systems. How did ancient builders achieve such perfection with what we assume were simple tools? The puzzles only multiply when you consider the scale of its construction. Over 2 million limestone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons, were quarried, transported, and set into place with breathtaking precision. The internal chambers, like the King's Chamber with its massive granite ceiling beams, reveal a profound understanding of weight distribution and structural engineering, concepts that seem impossibly advanced for its time. Some researchers point to even deeper knowledge encoded in the stone, suggesting the pyramid's dimensions might secretly incorporate the value of pi and the golden ratio, mathematical constants that wouldn't be formally understood for millennia. They even note its geographic positioning is so central it could have served as a focal point for the entire planet. This was not merely a tomb, it was a technological masterpiece. And this mastery of moving impossible weights leads us directly to another enigma, where stones were not just lifted, but were shaped and moved in ways that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. The same questions of impossible engineering echo across the Atlantic on England's Salisbury Plain. Stonehenge rises from the landscape, a ring of towering sarsen stones capped by massive lintels, a project that began over 5,000 years ago. Its first builders, Neolithic people with an apparently simple toolkit, achieved a logistical nightmare. They sourced unique bluestones, each weighing up to 4 tons, from quarries in distant Wales, a journey of over 150 miles. How they moved these colossal rocks across rivers and over hills remains one of archaeology's greatest puzzles, with theories ranging from sledges on greased timber rails to a complex system of ropes and rollers. But the mystery only deepens once the stones arrived. The larger sarsen stones, some weighing 25 tons, were shaped with stone hammers to form precise mortise and tenon joints, a woodworking technique executed flawlessly in stone. These lintels were then hoisted to dizzying heights and locked into place, creating a monument that has braved the elements for millennia. This was far more than a simple calendar. The arrangement of the stones captures the sun's rays with stunning accuracy during the summer and winter solstices, proving its creators possessed a sophisticated, long-term understanding of the solar cycle, all without a written language to record their findings. Some researchers now propose the site was an ancient astronomical calculator, a place to predict eclipses and mark the passage of seasons, while other theories suggest it was a revered healing center, its blue stones believed to hold mystical properties. Yet the core enigma persists. How was this knowledge gained, encoded, and executed with such breathtaking precision using only primitive tools? From these standing stones that chart the heavens, we journey to South America, where the scale of construction grows even larger and the precision of the stonework becomes, if anything, even more difficult to explain. High in the Andes, the fortress of Sacsayhuamán presents a stone puzzle that seems to defy logic. Its colossal walls, constructed in a dramatic zigzag pattern, are built from enormous limestone blocks, some weighing an astonishing 200 tons. The sheer mass of these stones is staggering, but the real mystery lies in their assembly. The builders used a technique known as polygonal masonry, where each stone was meticulously shaped to possess numerous angles and sides. Some of these giant blocks feature 12 or more perfectly cut facets, allowing them to interlock with their neighbors in a breathtaking three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. The fit is so exact that you cannot slip a single piece of paper between the seams, and no mortar was ever used. This was precision engineering on a gargantuan scale. How did they achieve such flawless joints with only stone hammers and bronze tools? Adding to the enigma are strange, polished knobs and protrusions found on the faces of some stones. Were these handles for some forgotten lifting technology, or did they serve another, more mysterious purpose in the construction process? The design also reveals a profound understanding of the environment. Peru is a seismically active land, yet these walls have withstood powerful earthquakes for centuries. Their complex interlocking structure and slight inward lean allow the entire wall to move and settle during a tremor without collapsing. This is ancient anti-earthquake engineering at its finest. Perhaps the most baffling question is how these 200-ton giants were transported from quarries several miles away, up and down steep mountain terrain without the wheel or strong draft animals. The logistical feat is almost incomprehensible. This mastery over stone feels so complete, it sparks a tantalizing question. Did the Inca possess a method, now lost to time, to somehow soften and mold the very stone itself, fitting these massive blocks together like clay? This idea of stone behaving like a softer material leads us to another site, where the evidence for such a possibility becomes even more compelling. Puma Punku looks like the aftermath of a celestial explosion. In the stark Bolivian highlands, immense stone blocks lie shattered and scattered across the landscape, as if a god's intricate toy set was thrown down in fury. The sheer scale of destruction is overwhelming, but a closer examination of the individual pieces reveals an even deeper mystery. These are not crude rocks. They are masterpieces of stonework, crafted from andesite and red sandstone with a geometric precision that appears machined. The surfaces are flawlessly flat, the edges form perfect 90-degree angles, and many stones feature identical, precisely drilled holes that run straight through the toughest material. The finish is so smooth it feels like polished glass, a surface treatment that would require diamond-tipped tools to replicate with such perfection today. How could an ancient culture without hardened metal alloys achieve this level of exactitude? The complexity only grows with the H-shaped blocks. These enigmatic stones are all identical, interlocking with each other in a system that suggests a form of mass production, a concept we associate with the industrial era. Each block fits its neighbor with mathematical consistency, implying the use of standardized units of measurement and advanced drafting. Some of these precision-cut slabs weigh over 100 tons. They are adorned with intricate channels and complex patterns cut into their surfaces with an unnerving perfection. The logistical challenge of quarrying, transporting, and then dressing these behemoths with such microscopic detail is a problem modern engineers still struggle to comprehend. And this leads to the site's final, haunting question. What immense force could have shattered this technological marvel? The destruction was so complete it seems deliberate, as if the very knowledge used to build it was systematically erased. The scattered ruins of Puma Punku stand as a silent testament to a forgotten science of stone, a science that appears to have vanished in a single, catastrophic event. This concept of carving on a monumental scale, of treating immense stone not as separate blocks but as a single canvas, finds its ultimate expression in a different part of the world, where entire temples were hewn not from assembled pieces, but from the living rock of a mountain. While Puma Punku lies in shattered pieces, another ancient wonder presents the opposite extreme, a structure carved with such overwhelming ambition it seems to defy the very logic of construction. The Kailasa temple in the Ellora caves of India was not built but revealed. Imagine workers standing atop a solid basalt cliff, not adding stones but systematically removing them. Their task was to carve an entire temple complex 3 stories high directly downward into the living rock. This was a feat of subtraction on an almost unimaginable scale. To create this monument, they meticulously quarried away an estimated 400,000 tons of solid stone, a process equivalent to carving a mountain from the top down. The precision required for such an undertaking is staggering. The architects had to visualize the final, intricate form hidden within the rock and then execute their plan with flawless accuracy, removing exactly the right amount of material at every stage. A single miscalculation, one cut made too deep, would have been catastrophic and irreparable. The result is a breathtaking labyrinth. The temple features soaring pillars, graceful bridges connecting different levels, multi-story galleries, and sacred chambers, all carved as a single, continuous piece from the original cliff. Every surface is adorned with elaborate sculptures depicting gods, goddesses, and mythological scenes, their details as sharp and clear as the day they were finished. The symmetry and proportion of the entire complex speak of a master plan, a blueprint held in the minds of its creators that guided their hammers and chisels for generations. How did they plan such a monumental work without modern surveying tools? How did they ensure that the chambers deep inside would align perfectly with the external facades? The Kailasa temple is not just architecture, it is a testament to a form of engineering foresight that seems to border on clairvoyance. This profound transformation of rock from a single massive entity into a place of worship and art compels us to look for other places where ancient cultures achieved the impossible by working in harmony with the earth itself, not against it. The transition from a mountain carved into a temple to a canyon carved into a city is a natural one. Deep within the deserts of Jordan, a narrow fissure in the rock known as the Six serves as the only entrance. This winding canyon, just wide enough for a single caravan, builds a powerful sense of anticipation with its towering, rose-red walls that block out the sun. Then, as you round the final bend, the canyon opens to reveal a sight that has stunned travelers for centuries. The treasury of Petra is not a building placed before the cliff, but a magnificent facade carved directly into the living sandstone, its classical columns and ornate statues glowing in the filtered light. The sheer scale of this rock-cut architecture is breathtaking, but the true genius of the Nabateans lies in what you cannot immediately see. They transformed this arid desert into a thriving metropolis capable of supporting 30,000 people, and they did it by mastering a single precious resource, water. In a region receiving only a few inches of rain a year, they engineered a complex hydrological network that seems to defy the desert itself. They constructed massive dams to divert destructive flash floods, carved intricate channels along the canyon walls to guide water, and dug vast underground cisterns to store it. This was a city sustained by a hidden, engineered watershed, a testament to their profound understanding of hydrology and geology. The architectural details of the treasury itself raise further questions. The precision of the Corinthian capitals, the lifelike statues of mythological figures, and the famous urn carved at its peak were all achieved with an unknown toolkit. The local sandstone is hard enough to hold intricate detail for millennia, yet the Nabateans worked it with a fluid mastery that has left no clear evidence of their methods. Their strategic position on the incense trade routes brought them immense wealth and exposure to diverse cultures, from Greece to Egypt, but the technical knowledge required to execute this rock-cut city was uniquely their own. They were not just merchants, but brilliant engineers who sculpted their civilization directly from the desert rock. This mastery of carving into the earth for survival, creating not just grand facades but entire living spaces, finds a startling parallel in another part of the world, where people did not just carve into rock, but burrowed deep beneath it to create vast hidden realms. While the Nabateans carved their city into a canyon face, another civilization chose to escape danger by burrowing straight down. Beneath the windswept plains of Cappadocia in Turkey lies a world turned inside out, the Derinkuyu underground city. This is not a simple cave network, but a meticulously engineered subterranean metropolis descending 18 levels deep into the soft volcanic rock, a labyrinth capable of sheltering up to 20,000 people for months at a time. The sheer scale is disorienting. Imagine an entire city's population vanishing from the surface, their lives continuing in a hidden realm of tunnels, dwellings, and chapels carved from the stone. The entrance to this underworld was deliberately hidden, often concealed within the basements of ordinary-looking surface homes. Once inside, inhabitants could seal themselves off from the outside world using massive, circular stone doors. These were not simple slabs, but ingenious defensive devices. Each door was a single piece of rock, weighing half a ton and perfectly shaped to roll into a recess in the tunnel wall, creating an impenetrable barrier that could only be opened from the inside. How did they move these colossal stone plugs into position, and how were they operated so seamlessly by the people within? The engineering challenges of sustaining life at such depths were immense, and the builders solved them with breathtaking ingenuity. The most critical system was air. Dozens of ventilation shafts, some reaching an astonishing 180 feet up to the surface, provided a constant flow of fresh air to even the deepest chambers. These shafts were cleverly disguised on the surface to avoid detection, functioning like the hidden lungs of the entire complex, just as vital was water. Deep wells were sunk to tap directly into the underground water table, creating a self-sufficient supply that could not be poisoned or cut off by attackers on the surface. This was a civilization prepared for a long siege. The city was a fully functional society in reverse. It contained everything needed for extended habitation, from storage rooms stocked with grains and oil, to wine presses, stables for livestock, and even dedicated churches with vaulted ceilings and carved crosses. The layout was a marvel of urban planning, with distinct levels for different functions, connecting tunnels that allowed for efficient movement, and a complex network of communications shafts. Every aspect of life, from worship to work, was accommodated in this inverted world. The existence of Derinkuyu forces us to reconsider what ancient urban planning could achieve. It was not just a hiding place, but a complete, alternative habitat, a testament to human resilience and a forgotten pinnacle of underground engineering. This profound understanding of how to shape the earth for survival raises a new question. What other ancient cultures looked not down into the ground for protection, but out across the water, using knowledge of the stars to conquer the vast, empty expanse of the ocean? The hidden cities beneath Cappadocia speak of survival, but across the globe, another metropolis was designed for cosmic harmony, Walking the Avenue of the Dead in Teotihuacan is like traversing a vast celestial diagram laid out in stone. This Mexican city, whose original name and founders are lost to history, is arranged with a precision that rivals modern urban planning. Its two great pyramids and central causeway are not randomly placed. They are aligned with specific stars and the cycles of the sun with mathematical exactness. The Pyramid of the Sun itself holds a profound numerical secret. The perimeter of its massive base measures exactly 864 units, a number that resonates deeply within ancient Mesoamerican calendrical systems. This was not a coincidence, it was a deliberate encoding of time into architecture, a permanent stone calendar. But the mysteries are not only in the grand layout. During excavations, archaeologists made a startling discovery deep within the pyramid complex: enormous sheets of mica sandwiched between stone layers. Mica is a mineral with remarkable thermal and electrical insulating properties, a substance used in modern electronics. Why would ancient builders go to the immense effort of quarrying and transporting this specific material, only to bury it within their structures? The city's technological foresight extended from the cosmos down to the streets. Teotihuacan was a thriving, orderly metropolis supporting over 100,000 people. It featured a sophisticated grid pattern, efficient drainage systems, and sprawling apartment compounds designed for different social classes. This was a planned society, a feat of social and civil engineering that created one of the largest cities in the ancient world. The builders of this mysterious city demonstrated a holistic mastery, blending urban design with advanced astronomy and a puzzling knowledge of materials science. This seamless integration of the cosmic and the practical makes you wonder what other ancient urban centers were built with such a profound and perhaps hidden technological purpose. Perched on a razor's edge between mountain peaks and cloud forest, Machu Picchu feels less like a ruin and more like a living machine. The Inca did not simply build on this impossible terrain, they became one with it. Every structure here is a dialogue with the mountain itself. The city's foundations are a masterpiece of geotechnical engineering, using deep layers of crushed rock for drainage and stability, preventing the entire mountainside from sliding away during the heavy rains. But it is the stonework that truly captivates. The walls are assembled using the same polygonal technique seen at Sacsayhuamán, with blocks cut to interlock in a seismic dance. When an earthquake strikes, these walls are said to shake and then settle back into place, their ashlar construction allowing them to move without collapsing. This is architecture that breathes with the earth. Below the residential sectors, the Inca confronted another challenge, feeding a population on a steep slope. Their solution was a cascading series of agricultural terraces that are feats of environmental engineering. These were not simple steps of dirt. Each terrace was a complex sandwich, starting with a foundation of large stones, then layers of gravel, sand, and finally rich topsoil. This created a deep, well-drained root system and prevented nutrient depletion. An integrated drainage system channeled water through the terraces, ensuring every plant was hydrated without any risk of erosion washing the entire farm down the mountain. This allowed them to grow a diverse range of crops at different microclimates, from the lower, warmer terraces to the cooler ones higher up. At the highest point of the citadel, the purpose of Machu Picchu crystallizes at the Intihuatana stone. This intricately carved granite pillar, often called a hitching post for the sun, is a precision astronomical instrument. Its angles and planes are calibrated to the sun's position with stunning accuracy. During the equinoxes, the sun casts a shadow that aligns perfectly with one of its carved notches, and on the solstices, the entire structure is illuminated or shadowed in a specific, predictable way. This was their calendar in stone, a way to track the passage of seasons for planting and ceremony, all carved from a single piece of bedrock. The city is a perfect fusion of the practical and the celestial, a sanctuary where engineering, agriculture, and astronomy were woven into a single, sustainable tapestry. From this mountain citadel that harmonized with its environment, we descend to a stark desert plateau where an ancient culture chose to transform the very face of the earth itself, leaving behind markings so vast they can only be comprehended from the sky. High above the arid plains of southern Peru, a vast canvas of ancient art reveals itself. The Nazca lines are not merely drawings, they are a monumental puzzle etched into the desert floor, covering an area of over 500 square kilometers. From ground level, the landscape appears as little more than an expanse of reddish pebbles, but the view from above unveils a breathtaking gallery of geometric precision. Enormous straight lines run for miles across the terrain without deviating an inch, while colossal figures of a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, and even an astronaut, as some call it, are drawn with clean, continuous contours. The scale is almost impossible to grasp from the Earth, which is precisely the point. How did a culture without flight create art intended for a viewer in the sky? The answer lies in a sophisticated understanding of geometry and surveying. The creators scaled up small models into these gigantic designs using a system of ropes, stakes, and precise mathematical ratios. They understood that to enlarge a figure without distorting its proportions, every line and curve had to be translated using consistent units of measurement, a feat of applied mathematics that ensured the spider's legs or the monkey's tail remained perfectly formed across hundreds of meters of desert. The environment itself became a partner in this endeavor. The Nazca people carefully removed the top layer of dark, sun-oxidized pebbles to reveal the lighter-colored sand beneath, creating a stark contrast. But the true genius of this method is its durability. In one of the windiest deserts on Earth, these shallow grooves have survived for over 2,000 years. This was no accident. The builders understood the local microclimate, knowing that the lack of rain and the specific way the wind moves across the packed earth would prevent erosion, effectively making the desert their conservator. Were these lines a giant astronomical calendar, their directions pointing to celestial events on the horizon, or were they sacred pathways walked by priests during rituals to invoke life-giving water from the gods? The purpose is fiercely debated, but the technological achievement is undeniable. This was landscape engineering on a staggering scale, a permanent alteration of the Earth's surface that commands awe from the heavens. It forces us to look for other cultures that similarly transformed their entire world, not with stone blocks, but by moving the very Earth itself to create colossal, living monuments. Across the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean, a silent army of stone giants stands guard. The nearly 900 Moai of Easter Island are a breathtaking spectacle of human ambition, carved from compressed volcanic ash and scattered across the landscape. Each statue is a unique individual, yet they share a common, almost industrial precision in their execution. Their strong jawlines, elongated ears, and prominent brows were carved with a consistency that suggests a master template, a standardized form passed down through generations of master craftsmen. The average Moai stands 13 feet tall and weighs 14 tons, but the largest, named El Gigante, lies unfinished in its quarry, a colossal giant that would have stretched 33 feet and weighed a staggering 82 tons if completed. How did a society with no metal tools, no large animals, and a small population manage to carve, move, and erect such an immense collection of monuments? The quarry at Rano Raraku is a haunting hillside workshop, littered with statues in every stage of completion, as if the workers simply walked away one day. The real mystery, however, is not the carving but the journey. From this quarry, these multi-ton giants were transported up to 11 miles across the island's rugged, hilly terrain. Recent experiments have shown that a team of people could rock a moai from side to side, walking it along a path, while others suggest they were slid on log sledges. Yet the sheer scale of the operation is what defies belief. To move just one of the larger statues would have required the coordinated effort of hundreds of people for weeks, consuming enormous amounts of food and energy from a fragile island ecosystem. This was not a casual undertaking, it was a society's entire focus, a project that must have commanded every available hand. Were these statues ancestor figures, their immense backs turned to the sea to watch over the villages? Or did they represent a lineage of powerful chiefs, their silent presence a permanent claim to the land? The moai are more than just art, they are the ultimate expression of a culture's identity and its technological will, a will that pushed the limits of the possible on their remote island home. This monumental effort to shape and move stone on such a scale makes us wonder what other ancient cultures, faced with a different kind of challenge, turned their engineering prowess not to carving giants, but to building impossible structures that floated. The silent moai of Easter Island represent a colossal effort, but one that fits within our understanding of a settled society. To find a ruin that truly shatters the timeline, we must travel to a windswept hill in Turkey. Göbekli Tepe is not just an ancient site, it is an anomaly that forces us to tear up the history books. This complex of massive stone circles was constructed around 12,000 years ago, a staggering 6,000 years before Stonehenge was even a thought. Its creators were not farmers living in settled villages, but nomadic hunter-gatherers, people we have always pictured with simple tools and a transient lifestyle. The very existence of this place turns that image on its head. The central features are dozens of enormous T-shaped limestone pillars, each weighing up to 20 tons. They were quarried from local bedrock, shaped, transported, and then set into precisely carved sockets in the ground to form vast, circular enclosures. This was a coordinated, monumental building project requiring a level of social organization and skilled labor that historians never attributed to people of this era. The architectural details are just as baffling. The floors were made of terrazzo, a sophisticated composite material of crushed limestone and clay that was burned and polished to a smooth, hard finish. The walls feature bench-like seating, and the pillars themselves are arranged with a clear understanding of structural principles, with two larger central pillars anchoring each ring. But the mystery is carved into the stone itself. The surfaces of these monoliths are adorned with a breathtaking menagerie of animals, foxes, scorpions, lions, and vultures, all rendered with artistic skill and a powerful symbolic intent. These are not crude scratches, they are deep, precise bas-reliefs, a gallery of the wild world created by people who supposedly lacked the time, resources, and stable social structure for such endeavors. Then, around 8,000 years before the Common Era, the people of Göbekli Tepe did something as inexplicable as building it. They deliberately and carefully buried their entire temple complex under tons of earth. This act of intentional preservation is why the site remains in near-perfect condition today, but it raises a profound question. Why would a society invest generations of back-breaking labor into creating a spiritual and technological masterpiece, only to consign it to a man-made tomb? Was it a sacred retirement, a way to honor their gods by sealing them away? Or was it an attempt to hide knowledge, to protect something they understood was too powerful or too dangerous to leave exposed to a changing world? Göbekli Tepe stands as a silent revolution in stone, proving that the drive to build, to create, and to encode meaning in monumental architecture is far older and more sophisticated than we ever dreamed. This discovery suggests that the seeds of civilization, of complex society and advanced technology were sown not by farmers but by hunters. It compels us to look for other foundational structures, the very first attempts to impose a grand, geometric order upon the chaos of the natural world. The depths of the sea held a secret more astonishing than any sunken treasure. In 1901, sponge divers off the coast of a small Greek island called Antikythera stumbled upon a shipwreck from the 1st century before the Common Era. Among the corroded statues and amphorae, they found a lump of bronze and wood that seemed utterly unremarkable. It was only decades later, when X-ray and gamma-ray technology finally peered inside the calcified mass, that its true nature was revealed. This was the Antikythera Mechanism, a sophisticated astronomical calculator of breathtaking complexity. It was not a simple tool, but a miniature bronze universe, powered by a hand crank and operated by an intricate system of at least 30 interlocking gears. This was a device that could predict the movements of the sun and moon, forecast lunar and solar eclipses, and even track the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. Its tiny, inscribed dials and pointers displayed the celestial dance with a precision that would not be matched for over 1,000 years. The most shocking detail, however, was a specific component known as a differential gear. This is a complex assembly that allows 2 rotation speeds to be combined into a single output, a technology that historians were certain did not appear until the 16th century in Europe. Here it was, working perfectly in a device from classical antiquity. The craftsmanship is so fine, the gear teeth so perfectly cut and spaced, that it rivals the work of a master watchmaker. How could such advanced mechanical engineering exist in a world we picture as one of simple levers and pulleys? The knowledge required to design and build this mechanism is staggering. Its creator needed a profound understanding of Babylonian astronomical cycles, Greek geometrical theories, and precision metalworking. This was not a one-off experiment. It was a finished, housed, and clearly used instrument, implying a whole tradition of mechanical engineering and scientific instrument making that has otherwise vanished from the historical record without a trace. The Antikythera Mechanism is a ghost, a single surviving whisper of a technological conversation that was happening 2,000 years ago. Its very existence forces a haunting question onto the stage of history. If this one device survived purely by chance, what other marvels of ancient innovation were lost forever, leaving no echo in the sands of time? The scale of human ambition reaches its absolute zenith at the temple complex of Baalbek. In Lebanon's fertile Bekaa Valley, the foundation of the so-called Roman Temple of Jupiter rests upon a stone platform so advanced it makes the Roman structures above look almost clumsy by comparison. Here, buried within the western retaining wall, lies the trilithon, 3 colossal limestone blocks whose dimensions defy belief. Each one is a perfect rectangle, measuring roughly 64 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet wide, with a weight approaching 800 tons. To put that into perspective, each stone is heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 747 jetliner. Their placement is a marvel in itself, set with such precision that the seams are virtually invisible, locked together without any mortar in a display of megalithic engineering that has no equal. The Romans, master builders in their own right, simply used these incomprehensible foundations as a base for their own temple, seemingly unable to replicate the technology they had found. The true heart of the mystery, however, lies just a short distance away in the quarry. There, partially separated from the bedrock, rests the stone of the pregnant woman, a single cut block of stone that dwarfs even the trilithon. This monolith weighs an almost inconceivable 1,650 tons. It was cut, shaped, and then apparently abandoned. Why was the task of moving it finally beyond even the abilities of its creators? The surfaces of all these stones are flawlessly smooth, their corners sharp and their edges true, suggesting a method of cutting and dressing stone that we cannot replicate with the primitive bronze or stone tools we attribute to that era. How were these blocks, the largest ever handled by human hands, transported over half a mile from the quarry and then hoisted over 20 feet into the air to be slotted perfectly into place? The logistical puzzle is so profound that it forces a radical question. Could the Romans, who proudly claimed this site, have merely been inheritors, building upon the bones of a far older, vastly more capable civilization whose name and methods are now entirely lost to us? This mastery over immense physical material represents one extreme of ancient technology, but it finds a strange parallel in a culture that pursued a different kind of perfection, shaping not stone itself, but the very sound that moves through it. Deep beneath the modern streets of Malta lies a sanctuary carved not for sight, but for sound. The hypogeum of Hal Saflieni is a labyrinthine structure descending 3 levels into the Globigerina limestone, a necropolis and temple complex created over 5,000 years ago. Its shadowy chambers and winding passages hold an acoustic secret that modern science is still unraveling. Within this underground world, sound does not behave as it should. Specific chambers are tuned to amplify particular frequencies, most remarkably a deep male voice chanting at a frequency of 110 Hz. In these rooms, the sound is not merely louder, it becomes a physical presence, vibrating through the very stone and the bones of the listener. Elsewhere, echoes persist for an astonishingly long time, reverberating for seconds after the original sound has ceased, creating an otherworldly auditory experience that feels both calculated and magical. The centerpiece of this sonic architecture is the Oracle Room, an oval chamber featuring a small, elaborately carved niche in one wall. When a person speaks into this niche, their voice is not simply projected but transformed. The sound resonates and amplifies, echoing powerfully throughout the entire underground complex, reaching chambers on different levels as if the entire hypogeum were a single, giant musical instrument. This was clearly an intentional design, an acoustic technology woven directly into the architecture. The builders possessed a sophisticated understanding of sound waves, resonance, and how to shape stone to manipulate auditory phenomena. They engineered the hardness, angles, and curvature of the walls to achieve these precise effects, a feat that implies generations of accumulated knowledge about architectural acoustics. What was the purpose of this ancient sound system? Many researchers believe it was used for ritual and spiritual ceremonies, where the powerful, disorienting acoustics could alter states of consciousness, bridging the gap between the physical world and the realm of the gods. The very stones seemed to speak, turning human breath into a divine proclamation. This mastery over an invisible force like sound suggests a technological paradigm far removed from our own, one where the manipulation of energy and vibration might have been as important as the movement of stone. It forces us to wonder what other subtle technologies, lost because they left no large ruins, were once wielded by ancient hands. This same mastery over sound finds a chilling parallel in a place where the sheer scale of manual labor defies all reason. In the quiet Chinese province of Zhejiang, the Longyu Caves are a subterranean world of staggering ambition. Unlike natural caverns, these are not random grottos, but a man-made complex of colossal, architecturally refined rooms carved deep into the solid sandstone. Stepping inside is like entering the gutted interior of a pyramid, a space so vast and orderly it feels industrial. The caves cover an astonishing 30,000 square meters of excavated space, a volume created by the removal of nearly 1 million cubic meters of stone. To visualize that, picture a mountain of rock simply vanishing, all by human hands. The logistics are mind-bending. Where did all that rubble go, and how was a workforce large enough to accomplish this, fed and organized without leaving a single written record? The true technological signature, however, is etched into every single wall. The surfaces are not rough or irregular. They are covered from floor to ceiling in a uniform pattern of chisel marks, each one cut at a precise 60-degree angle. This is not the work of haphazard digging. This is a standardized, repeatable excavation technique applied with machine-like consistency across all 24 discovered caverns. It speaks of a master plan and a trained workforce using identical tools and methods, a hallmark of advanced project management we associate with modern engineering. The caves themselves reveal a deep understanding of structural integrity. Massive pillars were left standing at regular intervals to support the immense weight of the mountain above, their placement clearly calculated to distribute stress. The ceilings are sloped, the walls are angled, and even the pools carved into the floor seem to serve a purpose in managing groundwater or providing stability. Every element was designed to prevent a catastrophic collapse, turning a hollowed-out space into a permanent, engineered environment. And this leads to the most haunting question of all. Why there are no murals, no inscriptions, no artifacts, and no historical texts that even mention this monumental project? The purpose of these pristine, echoing halls is a complete mystery. Were they a secret imperial tomb, a hidden garrison, or a vast quarry for some other, even grander project that has since vanished? The Longyu Caves stand as a silent, overwhelming testament to an ancient society with the will and the means to reshape the very earth on an industrial scale, for a reason we can no longer comprehend. This ability to alter the landscape so profoundly makes us look for other cultures who didn't just carve into rock, but who built colossal, gravity-defying structures that cling to the edges of the world. Emerging from the subterranean silence of the Longyu Caves, we ascend into the vibrant, living heart of a Guatemalan rainforest. Here, the stone giants of Tikal pierce the jungle canopy, their limestone peaks standing as eternal sentinels over a lost metropolis. This was not just a city of priests and kings, but a masterclass in environmental engineering. The Great Plaza feels like an open-air cathedral, a vast space where sound behaves in mysterious ways. A whisper spoken at the base of one towering pyramid can be heard with perfect clarity over 150 feet away on the steps of another. The Mayan architects designed these plazas and stairways to act as natural amplifiers and waveguides, manipulating sound in a way that feels almost supernatural. This acoustic precision was no accident. It was a technology of communication and ceremony, allowing a single voice to reach a massive audience without a single electronic device. Above, the stone temples served a second, celestial purpose. Their alignments are not random, they are a permanent astronomical calendar carved from the jungle. The rising and setting sun during the solstices and equinoxes cast specific shadows across temple doorways and along stairway ramps, marking the passage of seasons with clockwork reliability. This knowledge was essential for agriculture and ritual, a deep understanding of cosmic cycles encoded directly into the urban landscape. To build these soaring structures, the Maya perfected a unique form of engineering known as the corbelled arch. Unlike a true Roman arch that uses a keystone, the Maya stacked stones, each one cantilevering slightly further inward until they met at the top. This created the iconic steep, triangular vaults that characterize their temples, a structurally sound solution that distributed weight downward through the massive walls, a brilliant answer to a technological constraint. Supporting a population that may have reached 100,000 people in this rainforest environment required a miracle of logistics, and the Maya delivered. They transformed their city into a giant water catchment system. Plazas were subtly angled, and causeways were designed to channel precious rainwater into a network of massive, plaster-lined reservoirs. These were not simple ponds, they were sophisticated storage systems. Evidence suggests they used sand filtration and aquatic plants to purify their water supply, creating a sustainable source that could withstand the dry seasons. Canals and dams managed the flow, preventing flooding during torrential rains. Every drop was accounted for in a system that balanced the needs of a vast urban population with the rhythms of the jungle itself. Tikal represents a seamless fusion of the cosmic and the practical, a civilization that harnessed sound, stone, and water with a foresight that still commands our respect. From this jungle city that mastered its environment, we journey to a desert landscape where an entire culture encoded its identity into the very fabric of a canyon, creating a fortress that seemed to grow directly from the rock. The Sun Temple of Konark is a stone chariot frozen in time, built for a celestial passenger. This 13th century marvel on India's east coast was designed as the colossal chariot of the sun god Surya, pulled by 7 stone horses and rolling on 24 elaborately carved stone wheels, each standing over 12 feet high. But these wheels were far more than decoration. They were a sophisticated timekeeping instrument. Each one is a massive, intricately designed sundial. The spokes and other carved elements cast shadows that fall with perfect accuracy upon the wheel's rim, marking the time of day with a precision that rivals modern clocks. The entire temple complex was a cosmic engine, its orientation and architectural elements calibrated to track the sun's journey with breathtaking exactness. As the sun moves through the seasons, specific parts of the temple are illuminated in a precise, predictable sequence, turning the monument itself into a dynamic solar calendar. This required a profound understanding of astronomy, geometry, and the Earth's axial tilt. Yet the temple's engineering marvels extend from the cosmic scale down to the microscopic. The stone carvings covering every surface exhibit a metal-like precision, with filigree details, delicate patterns, and sharp, clean lines that seem impossible to achieve with simple iron chisels on condylite stone. This has fueled a persistent legend that the builders used massive magnets in the crowning piece of the main tower, which originally soared 229 feet into the sky. The theory suggests these lodestones, potentially embedded in the capstone, helped stabilize the immense structure or perhaps even created a magnetic field that aided in the precision placement of the iron-rich stone blocks during construction. Whether the magnet story is literal truth or a metaphor for lost techniques, the construction itself hints at advanced knowledge. The mathematical principles embedded in the temple's design, from the proportions of the wheels to the angles of the spire, suggest a grasp of advanced calculus and structural physics that seems to belong to a much later era. This was not merely a place of worship. It was a stone embodiment of a civilization's scientific and spiritual zenith, a machine that harnessed the sun itself. From this temple that captured light and time, we move to a culture that chose to reflect it, building a city that gleamed like a mirage in the desert. Beneath the clear, blue waters off Japan's Yonaguni Island lies a labyrinth of stone that refuses to be easily explained. Submerged terraces stretch into the deep, their surfaces forming massive, flat platforms that look like sunken plazas. Towering rock faces drop in near-perfect 90-degree angles, while long, straight channels run parallel to each other with an unnerving geometric consistency. There are what appear to be wide staircases with uniform steps, ascending through the water in a grand procession toward nowhere. Most striking of all is the central monument, a colossal layered structure that rises from the seabed like a stepped pyramid, its sharp edges and clean lines standing in stark contrast to the undulating, organic shapes of the surrounding reef. Scattered around this main complex are features that feel hauntingly familiar: a pair of massive stones that stand like a ceremonial gate, a large circular depression that could be a reservoir, and even a rock face some claim bears the weathered but discernible carving of a human face. The sheer organization of the site suggests a deliberate plan, an architectural logic that nature rarely, if ever, produces on its own. Dating the monument is a challenge that relies on geology rather than archaeology, and the timeline points to a staggering conclusion. These structures would have been on dry land, perched on a coastal plain, around 10,000 years before the Common Era, a period when the last ice age was ending and melting glaciers were steadily drowning the world's shorelines. This timeline places its construction, if it was constructed, in a prehistoric era that completely rewrites the narrative of human civilization's capabilities. Could this be the work of a sophisticated culture that thrived during the last ice age, their entire world lost beneath the rising seas? The controversy is fierce and fundamental. Geologists point to the area's unique sandstone, which naturally fractures along straight plains and can be eroded by strong currents into surprisingly angular formations. They argue that what we see is a spectacular but entirely natural geological phenomenon. Yet for every argument from nature, there is a counterpoint from the site itself. The presence of what looks like a perfectly circular opening drilled through a solid rock wall, or the way two massive blocks sit together with a precision that seems to defy random chance, keeps the possibility of human hands alive. The Yonaguni monument forces us to confront a profound and unsettling question. Are we looking at the world's most convincing natural rock formation, or are we staring at the drowned ruins of a civilization so ancient its very memory has been washed away by the ocean? It is a ghost at the bottom of the sea, a silent city that challenges us to reconsider when and where human ambition first learned to build in stone. The sheer number of stones at Karnak is almost incomprehensible. Nearly 3,000 individual megaliths stand in eerie, silent rows, their lines stretching for miles across the French countryside. Walking among them is like navigating a petrified forest planted by giants, a grid of granite that defies simple explanation. The most astonishing technical feat is not the size of any single stone, though many are colossal, but the unwavering precision of their alignment. These parallel rows run straight for over 4 kilometers, maintaining their geometric perfection across rolling hills, through shallow valleys, and over uneven ground. To achieve this, the builders must have employed sophisticated surveying techniques that rival modern methods, using sighting poles, horizon markers, or perhaps even water levels to ensure their lines never wavered. This was not a haphazard collection of rocks. It was a planned, systematic, and monumental project executed with mathematical rigor. What purpose could justify such an immense and precise undertaking? Some researchers point to the heavens, suggesting the alignments functioned as a colossal astronomical observatory, their rows calibrated to the rising and setting of the sun and moon during key seasonal events. Other theories are more grounded, proposing the stones acted as a territorial marker for a powerful prehistoric culture, a permanent statement of ownership written in stone across the landscape. One of the most compelling and controversial ideas is that the site functioned as an enormous earthquake detector. The theory suggests that the stones were placed with such delicate balance that even a slight tremor in the earth would cause specific stones to shift or fall, creating a visible, permanent record of seismic activity. This would imply a profound understanding of geology and physics. The logistical effort behind Karnak is a mystery in itself. The transportation and erection of so many heavy stones, some weighing over 350 tons, required more than just brute force. It demanded a highly organized society capable of feeding, housing, and directing a massive workforce for generations. This was a communal effort on an epic scale, a project that must have defined their culture for centuries. The silent, sprawling grid of Karnak ultimately forces a humbling question. Why would a prehistoric society, which we often picture as struggling for daily survival, invest so much of its energy and ingenuity into an arrangement of stones whose true function we can only guess at? Cut into a hillside in Mycenae, the treasury of Atreus presents an entrance to another world. Its massive doorway, capped by a single lintel stone weighing 120 tons, leads you into a breathtaking, soaring space. This is not a cramped burial chamber, but a monumental Tholos tomb crowned by a majestic corbelled dome. For over 1,000 years, this dome held the title of the largest unsupported dome anywhere in the world, a record that stood until the mighty Pantheon was built in Rome. The engineering behind it is a masterpiece of Bronze Age foresight. Each stone ring was laid perfectly horizontal, with each successive ring cantilevering slightly inward until the entire structure sealed itself at the top with a single, final capstone. The result is a perfect parabolic curve, a shape that distributes the immense weight of the entire hillside down and outward with flawless efficiency, ensuring the tomb's survival for more than 3,000 years. The precision of the stone cutting is astounding. The massive blocks were shaped to fit together so tightly that the interior walls form a seamless, smooth curve, a surface that feels almost modern in its perfection. But the builder's genius extended beyond mere structure. The interior chamber possesses remarkable acoustic properties, where even a whisper can be carried and amplified, suggesting rituals where sound played a vital, perhaps spiritual, role. Furthermore, the tomb's entrance passage is aligned to capture the light of the setting sun on specific days, linking this house of the dead to the eternal cycles of the heavens. How could a civilization from the Bronze Age possess such a sophisticated understanding of physics, acoustics, and astronomy? The treasury of Atreus is not a crude precursor to Roman engineering, it is its equal, built a millennium earlier. It stands as powerful evidence that advanced technological knowledge was achieved, used to create wonders, and then, mysteriously, forgotten, waiting to be painfully rediscovered by cultures that would follow. This pattern of lost and found knowledge compels us to look for one final, ultimate example, a place where the very concept of ancient and modern collapses entirely. The pyramid known as El Castillo rises from the Yucatan jungle not just as a temple, but as a colossal stone calendar. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, a breathtaking phenomenon transforms its northern staircase. The setting sun casts a shadow along the balustrade, creating the undulating body of a serpent that appears to slither down from the temple at the summit to the giant stone snake heads at the base. This was no happy accident, it was a meticulously engineered light show, a fusion of celestial knowledge and architectural genius designed to unite the Earth with the cosmos in a single, dramatic moment. The mathematical precision embedded in the structure is equally profound. Each of the pyramid's 4 sides features 91 steps. When you add these together, you get 364, and the final step, the platform at the top, brings the total to 365, a perfect and permanent representation of the solar year. This numerical code is woven directly into the very act of ascending the temple, but the pyramid holds a secret within its heart, a Russian nesting doll of construction. Deep inside the visible structure, archaeologists discovered a complete, smaller pyramid, an earlier phase of the temple preserved within the later one. Inside this inner sanctuary sits a powerful relic, a throne carved in the form of a red jaguar, inlaid with shimmering, polished jade for its spots. This reveals a sophisticated, multi-generational building plan, where each new layer was carefully engineered to encapsulate and honor the past. The entire temple complex is aligned with such exactness that it functions as a massive astronomical instrument. Its corners point to the cardinal directions, and its windows and sightlines are calibrated to mark the solstices and the transit of Venus. This was architecture as a living calculator, a tool that dictated the timing of sacred ceremonies and the practical schedule for planting and harvest. The builders of Chichen Itza achieved a seamless integration of art, science, and spirituality, creating a single structure that served as a clock, a calendar, and a conduit to the divine. Deep beneath the sands of Abydos lies an architectural ghost, a structure that feels profoundly out of place. The Osirian is a stark enigma, built at a significantly lower level than the majestic temples that surround it, as if it belongs to a different, much older layer of history. Its construction is a radical departure from classic Egyptian design. Instead of the relatively smaller, more manageable blocks used in nearby monuments, the Osirian is built from colossal red granite monoliths, some weighing as much as 100 tons. These giant stones are fitted together with a precision and a style that is jarringly unfamiliar, with tight, mortarless joints and proportions that echo the polygonal masonry of sites like Sacsayhuamán, not the elegant hieroglyph-covered walls of dynastic Egypt. The entire complex is centered around a massive hall with a central platform, originally surrounded by a channel of water, creating an island in the middle of a subterranean chamber. What was the purpose of this sunken, monolithic fortress? The leading theory suggests it was a symbolic tomb for the god Osiris, with the surrounding water representing the primordial waters of creation. Others propose it functioned as a sophisticated water clock or a ritual center for measuring the Nile's inundation, yet the core mystery remains. Why would Egyptian builders suddenly revert to, or inherit, a megalithic building style that required vastly more effort and different skills than their contemporary methods? The Osirian stands as a powerful architectural anomaly, a structure that seems to whisper of a far older technological fingerprint, one that was already ancient when the pharaohs decided to build their own temples directly above it. This profound disconnect in building techniques forces us to look for other sites where the ruins themselves seem to encode a message, not in hieroglyphs but in the very geometry of their design. The Temple of Jupiter at Baalbek stands as a testament to Roman imperial ambition, its colossal columns reaching for the sky. Yet this familiar Roman grandeur rests upon a foundation that whispers of a far more ancient and incomprehensible power. The Romans, master engineers of the classical world, constructed a temple of staggering proportions here, with columns that were among the largest ever attempted, each one a single piece of stone weighing an estimated 60 tons. The logistics of quarrying, moving, and erecting these monumental pillars pushed Roman engineering to its absolute limits, requiring a symphony of cranes, ramps, and coordinated labor that defined the peak of their architectural prowess. But the true mystery of Baalbek lies beneath their feet. The Romans built their temple directly atop the pre-existing platform of the Trilithon, those impossible 800-ton foundation stones we encountered earlier. They used this gargantuan, pre-made foundation as a base, seemingly incapable of replicating the technology that created it. This creates a profound archaeological puzzle, a site with two distinct layers of technological achievement. The visible, magnificent Roman temple represents one pinnacle of human engineering, while the hidden, megalithic platform upon which it sits represents another, entirely different and perhaps even greater one. The Romans were inheritors, not innovators, of this core technology. They could build upon the bones of a mystery, but they could not recreate its substance. This layered reality forces a humbling question. How many of history's great leaps forward were actually built upon the forgotten shoulders of even greater, lost civilizations? Our planet's final ancient secret lies submerged under crushing ocean pressure. Off the western coast of Cuba, sonar scans have painted a ghostly picture of the seafloor, revealing structures that defy easy geological explanation. At depths of 2,000 feet, the images show what appear to be vast geometric formations spread across the ocean bottom. There are symmetrical arrangements of massive stone blocks forming right angles and perfect circles, with outlines that suggest the foundations of pyramids and the long, straight lines of what could be ancient roadways. The sheer scale and organization of the site points toward intelligent design, a cityscape frozen in time beneath the waves. For these structures to have been built on dry land, they would have to date back to a period over 10,000 years ago, when global sea levels were hundreds of feet lower during the last ice age. This timeline is the core of the controversy, as it places a potential advanced civilization in an era we have long considered the domain of primitive hunter-gatherers. The very possibility forces a profound re-evaluation of human history. Could a sophisticated culture have thrived on coastal plains that are now deep underwater, their entire world and all its technological achievements lost to the rising seas? While mainstream science urges caution, pointing to natural geological processes that can sometimes create surprisingly angular formations, the haunting precision of the Cuban underwater complex keeps the debate alive. It stands as a powerful, if unproven, symbol of all we have yet to discover. These potential ruins are a final, poignant reminder that the greatest chapters of our ancient past may not be found in deserts or jungles, but hidden in the silent, dark depths, waiting for the day their stories can finally surface. Scattered across the globe and separated by thousands of years, these ruins share a technological language that speaks of a connected intelligence. The same signature of precision appears in the paper-thin seams of Sacsayhuamán, the machined angles of Puma Punku, and the gargantuan, mortarless blocks of the Osirian. Cultures that should have had no contact with one another all arrived at the same breathtaking conclusion: that stone could be made to fit together so perfectly it became a single, unshakable entity. How could this specific technique emerge independently in the Andes, in Bolivia, and in ancient Egypt? Was it a case of different minds solving the same engineering problem, or does it point to a common and now vanished source of knowledge? This pattern of parallel thought extends to the heavens. From the solstice alignment of Stonehenge to the equinox serpent of Chichen Itza and the celestial city plan of Teotihuacan, the sky was the ultimate clock. These ancient engineers were not just building structures, they were constructing permanent observatories, embedding a deep understanding of solar and lunar cycles into their very foundations. This universal drive to track time and seasons suggests a shared, fundamental human need, but the accuracy with which they achieved it implies a level of observational science we are only now beginning to fully appreciate. Then there is the universal challenge of the impossible weight. The 800-ton giants of Baalbek, the 200-ton stones of Sacsayhuamán, and the 80-ton Moai of Easter Island all represent a triumph of logistics. While the methods may have differed, sledges, ropes, or counterweights, the underlying principle was the same: a sophisticated grasp of physics, leverage, and mass organization. Moving a single block of that size is a monumental task, but doing it repeatedly across centuries and continents reveals a shared determination to overcome physical limits through collective effort and brilliant engineering. These recurring themes, precision stonework, celestial alignment, and megalithic transport, form a haunting chorus across time. They challenge the traditional story of history, which often paints ancient cultures as isolated and primitive. Instead, we see a tapestry of innovation, where either a lost global tradition once existed, seeding this advanced knowledge, or humanity itself possesses an innate collective genius for solving the grandest of puzzles. The stones themselves tell a story of a forgotten world. Across 25 ruins, from the jungles of the Yucatan to the high plains of Peru, one undeniable pattern emerges, a technological signature that appears millennia ahead of its time. The Great Pyramid's base is a perfect square, its sides aligned to true north with an accuracy that would challenge modern engineers. The Mayan temples of Tikal functioned as both calendars and acoustic amplifiers, their stairways designed to carry a whisper across a vast plaza. These are not isolated curiosities, but pieces of a global puzzle. How could cultures separated by oceans and centuries all master the art of moving stones heavier than our cranes can lift, or encode the complex mathematics of solar cycles into their very architecture? The evidence points to one of two profound possibilities. Either a sophisticated global civilization, now entirely lost to history, once seeded this advanced knowledge across the planet, or humanity has experienced multiple independent golden ages where genius flourished and then vanished, leaving only these silent stone witnesses. These recurring feats of engineering, from the polygonal walls of Sacsayhuamán to the celestial machinery of the Antikythera device, force us to reconsider the entire narrative of human progress. Our history is not a simple, linear climb from primitive to advanced. It is a story with missing chapters, peaks of achievement that were reached and then forgotten, waiting in the dust for us to rediscover. These ruins are a permanent challenge to our assumptions, reminding us that the past is far richer, deeper, and more mysterious than we ever knew. Which of these ancient technological marvels captured your imagination the most? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to continue exploring history's greatest mysteries with us.